Doug, I'm glad to see you taking your tie off today.
Thanks, Mayor. I'm in my more sporty look today.
Good for you.
I tell you, I'm glad to be back in a glass and steel office tower and not at home. I tell you, it keeps me sharper, I think. How you doing, Larry?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay.
Good, Jim. Good.
Good to see you, Doug.
Same here.
Good to see you again, Mr. Mayor.
Hey, Larry.
I have to mask up.
Hey there.
Hi, Beth.
How you doing, Jim?
Good.
Good.
How are you doing?
Pretty good. Going crazy.
Okay. Rusty's back in town. He's got his mic off, but he's back in town. He's been gone for a few days. I guess you up the lake, Rusty?
He's muted.
I know, but he can. He probably can hear me.
Yeah. Should.
Maybe not. Lyle, what's your background going to be today?
I'm working on it.
All right. I have a background that I want to use soon, but not today. But it's the Yellowstone barn. If anybody was watching Yellowstone, picture of the big barn. You think we should still do the pledge? It just doesn't. We don't coordinate that very well because of the timing of the Zooms. But anybody have any objection to doing it?
I don't mind doing it.
It'd be un-American to say you object, wouldn't it?
Good.
Kind of.
Can they hear me? Yes, do it.
Bob, why don't you, if you got a cat, we just get to see you standing there, you hadn't moved in 2 days.
I'm working on it.
All right.
I moved, I guess.
There's Rusty.
Sorry, guys, I could hear you talking, but I was having trouble with the screen view, but I'm in good shape now.
Did you go to the lake?
Wednesday.
Where you been?
We went to Kiowa for 4 days, and it was supposed to rain every day, and we did not get one drop. So it was really great.
Good.
Did you go into Charleston to see the sights?
We actually, when we landed, we went into Charleston and walked around downtown just to see what things were like. Not very busy, but what was really great and interesting on Kiowa is, and we didn't go a lot of places, but every club or everywhere we went into to eat or play golf or whatever, they took our temperature and were very, very specific about things. So I felt really good about it.
Well, they got to get those restaurants in Charleston back up to their fine reputation. So.
Yes, they do.
Development did y'all stay at, Rusty?
We have some friends, Doug and Missy Markham, and Missy's aunt has a place on the beach, and I guess it's really near the Cougar Golf Clubhouse. It's a 3-bedroom, I guess you would call it a condo townhome, but we've stayed in it before, and it is really nice. So yeah. It was great to get away.
Hey everybody, where were y'all, Rusty?
We were in Kiowa for 4 days.
Love that.
Now, listen, I love anywhere that does not start with a Nashville.
Really?
So just getting away for a minute was terrific.
We're supposed to be going to Seagrove a week from Saturday, so hopefully things will get straightened up. Looks like they're getting
Well,
along.
again, I was really impressed with the way they handled things. We flew Southwest, and I thought they did a great job. So it was good all in all.
Great. We lived there for 5 years. We lived in Mount Pleasant. We lived in Charleston.
Oh, I love it there.
Yeah, it's great. My middle son was born there. If I end up taking myself just on no picture, it's because I have to let my dogs in. So, but I'll be listening.
All right. I have invited, I think as you all saw, I invited the 3 officers involved in the little incident we had last week that hope everybody received today the WKRN video and talked about it was a great release. I see Chuck Williams down at the bottom, and Chuck was he was dispatcher that day. I think Tony was on vacation, so we had Chuck as the dispatcher, and we had David and Keith back in their automobiles. And I think I don't know if Keith's on now, David's on. Y'all want to, before we actually open the meeting, we'll go ahead and open the meeting, and because it's time anyway. So let them make a report, and you can ask them questions. It is 3:59 by my clock here.
What I have.
Hi, Louise.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. All right, I believe it's 4 o'clock. So I believe, Doug, we're probably okay to start, aren't we?
Go for it.
Let's all stand and we'll try to in unison do the pledge, and the flag is behind Larry Smith on his video. I pledge allegiance to the
The
flag
flag
of the
of the United States of America,
and to the republic
for which it stands,
One
One
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty.
liberty and justice for
and
all.
justice for all.
Oh, much better. Much better. Thank you. With that, we will open the public comments. Do you know if, Beth, do you know if our council person Tom's going to be here?
I do not know. I assumed he would. I'm kind of surprised, but he didn't communicate with me about joining or not.
Okay, well, I know he wanted to probably comment on the water bills, and we'll talk about that in a little while because I've done some research. Well, anyone from the public have any comments other than the public hearing, which will be later on? Anyone from the public wish to make any comments at this time? With that, before we approve the minutes, I'm going to ask Steve, Chuck, and David. I know you all have rehearsed this, so you all would. I know Keith was the lead guy, but since Chuck was a dispatcher, and Chuck really likes to talk. Really, Chuck got to narrate this just a little bit, and then you can turn it over to David and to Chuck. I mean, and to Keith.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
All right. So on September the 12th, around 11:30, we get a LPR hit on Harding Place at Inquirer of a stolen tag. Keith was around the country club when it come out, so he was right there. He got behind the vehicle. They pulled into the triangle, the property right there across from the country club. He approached them, asked them whose car it was, as most of you probably saw on the news. And all 3 of the occupants took off running. He was able to get a really good description of all of them. We put it out to Metro, asked them to come and help set up a perimeter. The driver ultimately surrendered to a park police officer who was on his way to check Percy Warner Park. The other 2, one was apprehended by K-9 police, and Officer Wright found the 3rd one hiding on top of a shed on Carriage Hill. It was kind of unique situation for me because the phones lit up like a telephone was going on in Belmead with everybody that saw them. Our residents were very vigilant in helping us apprehend all of these suspects, and we're very thankful for that.
You want to keep this morning? I stopped him on the road and he gave me kind of a rundown. But Keith, you want to just give a minute or two description of what you did when you, I guess, David kind of coordinated that stop. So.
Jim, for some reason you're warbling when you talk. I'm not sure what's happening.
Yeah, it's warbling, huh?
Well, it's better when you get closer. I can tell you that.
Yes.
Okay. Keith, are you on?
Yeah, I'm on.
All right. Well, tell us a little bit about what happened from your standpoint.
Well, I just passed the country club when the LPR hit on them, and I turned around at Iroquois and the Boulevard and met them at Harding Place and the Boulevard. But I had to turn, so I turned into the Triangle, waiting for them to drive up Harding Place to go out of town. But instead, they just turned into me, and it all began from there. And they, started talking to the driver, and the other two suspects got out. My attention got away from me instead of the driver. And of course, they all took off running, and we got the end result. But for a minute there, it was rather exciting.
David, why don't you jump in here and talk about what part you played in this?
Well, I was when the LPR hit, I was actually at close to Hillwood and Harding Road, and so it took me a little while to get there. But Keith gave a great description, and if it hadn't been for the residents calling, we probably wouldn't have been able to get it. But seemed like every time I would look in one direction, Chuck would call us on the radio and say, "Hey, we just got a call from 624 Inquirer, 510 Inquirer, somebody in Westover just called and said that they saw run through their backyard." So I kind of played ping pong with them for a little bit, driving around that circle, keeping them right there in that area until we had some more cars. When the K-9 officer got there, Metro got there, we had a good perimeter set up right around Westover and Inquirer. So they're kind of trapped in the backyards in between the two. And it was all the phone calls that when we had them in custody in here in the station, they were griping about how if they were in Antioch, somebody probably would open the door and let them in. But since they're in LB, they said every time they ran through the backyard, they saw phones come out. So that's how we really caught them, was somebody letting us know where they were at, where they saw them. At the end, the K-9 officer really came into play. The homeowner, Non-Carriage Hill, came and found me on the road and said that he had seen somebody run through his backyard. And the K-9 officer and myself went to the backyard, and the dog was going nuts. So the K-9 officer told me to keep my eyes out because the guy was somewhere close. And I saw some big size 13s on top of a shed. So that was kind of when we got him into custody. So it took a little while, but we did find all of them.
Well, you guys are fantastic. I hate to see the video system getting all the credit, because if we had a video system, all we're doing is reporting an LPR hit. Thank you guys, and I think the timing was pretty good on this too, where you all were able to lap around this person. And Tim, you have any comments about? You have been the one interviewed, I guess, initially. So
yeah, I'm extremely proud of all of our officers here at Belmead. They all do a good job, and anytime we're dealing with these felons that come through, I mean, it puts our officers at risk, but they're trained well and try very hard to coordinate these stops where we've always got backup. In this instance, they were literally right on top of Officer Stonewall, and he did good by keeping part of his car between. In the video, you can he almost immediately got his hands on the hood. And about the time he says that, two of them bolt, and then that guy touches it. But these kind of situations happen, and we're in law enforcement. We're proud of our officers for using restraint in a lot of these cases, because some of them, these vehicles flee, and we don't want to put the safety at risk over a property case. just we don't want to put our officers at risk anytime, but their training come through, and we're proud of them, and I continue to safe and never let their guard down. And so we got 3 into custody, and these guys, I'm not sure why they just pulled in there. Who knows? They may have been looking to break in the car, or they just freaked out when they seen the police that quick on top of them. And 2 of them had warrants, like the press release said, out of other counties. So these are folks we certainly didn't want around in Belmead.
Steve, thank you very much. Anybody have any questions? I think we got great. Mark, I think maybe your microphone that's making all that noise. Can you go silent on your? There you went. Let's see if that takes care of that. I believe it did. Okay. And thank you guys. And I know all 3 of you guys are on shift right now, so you all are welcome to leave and go back. And David, are you on? You're the dispatcher today, right?
I am dispatching today.
And Chuck, you're not in your car right now. I can see that, unless you're in a camper or something.
Jim,
Okay.
Jim, this is Bob.
Yeah, Bob.
I just want to add my 2 cents. I saw the email you sent me of the Channel 2 reporting on the thing, and it was very impressive. And I thought all the officers did well, and I thought the LPR cameras did well. So very good.
It's great teamwork. Thank you, Bob, for the comment.
Bill.
Anybody else have any comments or questions? Well, with that, we'll go to the first item on the agenda. You guys can go out to work unless you want to stay here and get bored with I won't say, let's see, who can I say get, but maybe it's Lyle. No, Lyle won't get bored. Maybe Doug will, because it's going to be running perfectly today. All right, the minutes of we had 2 meetings this last month, and I would entertain motions for the approval of the minutes of the August 19th board meeting. Your motion?
I'll move approval. This is Kathy.
Thank you, Kathy. Just
Second, Louise Bryan.
made and seconded. Let's have a roll call vote in alphabetical order. We're used to that by now.
Kathy Altenburn, aye.
Louise Bryan, aye.
Jim Hunt, aye.
Rusty Moore, aye.
Bob Wiggle, aye.
Oh, man, we're just doing great. All right.
Herman.
We have another meeting on September the 3rd. That was a special meeting. We have the minutes of those attached. Anybody have any questions, comments? If not, do I?
Move approval of those meeting minutes?
Motion made to approve. Is there a second?
Bob Wiggle, second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye. Roll call vote.
Kathy Altenburn, aye.
Louise Bryan, aye.
Jim Hunt, aye.
Rusty Moore, aye.
Bob Wiggle, aye.
All right, good. With that, we'll go to item number 4, Public Works. Larry Smith.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Anyone have any questions or concerns concerning the report?
Larry, these delineators on Linwood, are these intentional knockdowns, or you think are they?
We're getting a lot more than we were, and we've been epoxying them and screwing them to the pavement, yet we're still getting a lot more. Plus, they're getting some age on them, so they're getting brittle.
Mm-hmm.
We're having to add washers on the bottom to help hold them down. Hopefully, with the long-range thing, we'll eventually be able to do away with those and have something different.
I'm sure Louise is listening to that. So those are very important. Anything else on Larry's report here? Somebody had a deer stuck in their gate.
It was actually hung in the fence. There's about a 4-inch gap in the fence, and the deer tried to go through, got back haunches stuck in there, and me and one of the officers were able to free it, and it took off, and it survives. So.
Okay, that's Marty Poe's house. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions for Larry? Thank you, Larry. We've got a couple of items for action.
Yes, sir.
We have the recommendation to award the bid for snow and ice contract. Larry, you want to talk about that just for a moment? Oh,
Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
Item number 2 is Steve Casey.
how could I leave Steve Casey out? Well, I tell you what, listen, I'll let Steve do. Steve, go ahead. I'm so sorry. I still don't recognize you. Looks like a Neanderthal up there, so go. Go, Steve.
Hey, Mayor Hunt. Thank you for that introduction.
It's about the MS4.
Yes. I guess I'll open it up for questions after I just give a very brief overview. The year 4 of the current, or year 4 of the current permit is what the report is for. And the city did quite a lot of stream monitoring that was required by the permit this past year, and had an audit from TDEC actually back in early 2019 that went well. And really, it's going along just fine. I think one thing to note were there were 7 construction enforcement cases and 8 illicit discharge enforcement cases that were documented in this report. And so the city has been busy enforcing the stormwater ordinance. But everything's going well in terms of permit compliance. And I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Steve? Larry, you and Steve get along pretty well still?
Yes, sir.
All right. And Lyle, don't you have some dealings with Steve occasionally?
Almost daily, it seems.
That's right.
I'd like to throw kudos over to Steve because that audit he mentioned for the MS4, I was told later by that auditor they'd like to use us as an example to other cities. That just shows how efficient Steve and CEC is with this city and does such a great job. So I appreciate it, Steve.
Thank you, Lyle.
I'll thank you. And Steve, thanks again.
I want to tell Steve, I don't think you look like a Neanderthal. You look like a cool hipster. So
Well,
Thank you.
don't put that in the minutes. You're not.
depends on how far you go back to whether he's a hipster or a Neanderthal.
There you go.
Steve, I shaved mine off. My wife didn't even notice that I shaved for like two weeks.
Oh, wow.
That's how much she looks at me. All right.
All right.
Thanks again. Anything else, Steve?
That's it.
All right, we'll move to item number 3 on the Public Works. Bids for snow and ice removal. Larry, you got any, I know you reviewed Sammy Gibbs. Any other questions on this? Or Beth, you want to add anything?
No, my memo pretty much covered everything about how Larry and I feel. They've got a lot of salt on hand that they didn't use for the past year or two, so.
We don't have to pay for we have to pay, we don't have to pay for that until it's used, right?
Right.
Correct.
Okay. So, and did we have any, we had a little bit of light snow last year, Larry, didn't we? That did some spotting of some.
Just a little bit. Yeah. Some sleep.
Well, if there's one place in the budget that we can save some money, that's it. All right. Do I hear a motion for the approval of Sammy Gibbs construction for the snow and ice
I
removal?
make the motion to accept Sammy Gibbs for the snow and ice.
Bob, thank you. Is there a second?
Rusty Moore, I second.
Or second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Kathy Altburn, aye.
Louise Bryan, aye.
Tim Hunt, aye.
Rusty Moore, aye.
Bob Weagle, aye.
Sammy Gibbs approved. Next is a street sweeping contract. I see we've got a disqualification by Sweeping Corp of America, who've had it for a long time. Beth, they just didn't follow the rules? Is that what happened?
Well, it's not that. The gentleman that was supposed to drop off the bid the morning of the bid opening had it in his truck, and he just took off for his meeting in Memphis and got halfway there and realized he forgot to swing by City Hall and drop the bid off. And too late. He did email it to us, but that's not a legitimate sealed bid, so we had to disqualify their bid.
Well, it looks like it, if you were going to go with Roadrunner, I mean, if Roadrunner is a decent company, we would have gone with them probably anyway, being the low bid.
True,
Yeah.
true.
Do we know Roadrunner from any past experience with anyone?
Larry's done some research. I think he can speak to that.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, what we did was I reached out to the references that they gave us, and I've got glowing references on them. And I feel like at this time, we'd like to give them a shot. And their equipment is really up to par. They have 2 really nice trucks. You know, if something happens that they don't perform, we always have the option to cancel the contract. So we'd like to give them a shot at it.
How often do they do the street sweeping?
Once a month.
Okay. Any questions on the bid?
Mayor Hunt, I move approval. Rusty Moore.
Roadrunner. Okay.
Kathy Altenburn, second.
Motion made and seconded. Let's have a roll call vote.
Kathy Altenburn, aye.
Louise Bryan, aye.
Jim Hunt, aye.
Rusty Moore, aye.
Bob Weagle, aye.
Passes. Bid approved for Roadrunner.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Chief, public safety. Chief, turn on your microphone. Chief, turn on your microphone. There you go.
Is it better?
Yeah.
Everybody hear me now? Sorry about that, Mr. Mayor. Everyone had an opportunity to look over the monthly report for the police department, or any questions?
I see we're back in the fingerprint business.
Yes, sir. We require masks for them to come in. Of course, the officers are masked, and I guess we're still under the modified phase. We felt like we could safely bring folks in. Got plenty of hand sanitizer, and officers use gloves. So we were getting a lot of requests. So we opened it back up and trying to get back to normal operations, get a little revenue flowing in.
Good.
It looks like the citations and radar are back up and running.
Yes, sir.
Love it.
All right.
Slow them down.
All right, you got it.
Any other questions, any other comments to Chief? Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome. Thank y'all.
Health and sanitation, Larry, once again.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Any questions, concerns concerning the report?
That's good.
I'm sure Bob Weagle will have some comments for the next one, and that's going to be an action item of proposal for the sewer rate study. Bob, did you review that, and does that look good to you?
I just had 1 or 2 questions.
Okay.
Okay. The money that Buddy Petty is asking for, the $5,000, how does that compare with the last time he did this? Beth?
I believe it was $3,500 last time, so his price has gone up. But that was 4.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So almost 5 years ago, actually.
Is he doing more this time, or basically the same?
I believe it's about the same scope as before. I didn't see anything from his letter that he sent, the proposal that he sent, that was out of line or different than the prior work that he did.
His first report was our first report, right? So that's probably going to be a good 5-year expense we got to do for. Wouldn't you say, Beth?
I think so. I think we should try to continue with the strategy of setting a rate that lasts for 5 years, rather than coming back every year and changing it. I think it's worse when you do that, even though the end result might be the same over a 5-year period. it looks like you're dinging the customer more when you change it every year. So I would ask him to do a rate that would be good for 4 or 5 years again.
Okay. Bob, you agree with that?
I'm all for that.
All right. Larry, you have any comments about that?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, that's an action item. We got a $5,000 consideration of Buddy Petty's sewer rate study. Motion to approve.
Bob, I make the motion to go with Buddy Petty for $5,000.
More seconds.
Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Roll call.
Kathy Altenburn, aye.
Louise Bryan, aye.
Jim Hunt, aye.
Rusty Moore, aye.
Bob Weigel, aye.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. We have building, zoning, and planning with Lyle Patterson up with Pat.
Can I answer any questions about the report?
Yeah. I see one of our commissioners has a project going on at 4314 Iroquois.
It's not going to cost $50,000, but whatever.
Well, that's good. We get paid for that. So
No.
you could make it $5 million if it suits me. So those are, let's see. Lyle, you got anything you want to add on the historic zoning and what's been happening there?
No, they're doing a really good job of keeping out homes that are not in keeping with Belle Meade. If you notice on page 29, it's the report from January 1st, same time last year. We're behind, but that is due to historic zoning doing their job, and it'll probably catch up as people are catching on as to what the commission is looking for as far as quality of home, design, scale, and ratio.
Most of the people that are getting turned down coming back, I mean, they're not leaving, are they? They're not.
No, they're not. We've had some come back 5 months in a row.
Slow learn.
Yes.
All right. So you don't feel like it's going to hamper building. It's just going to get better quality.
Exactly.
All right. That's good news. Real good news. I think we've headed it off, Lyle, don't you think?
I do.
Great news. Anything else, Lyle? Lyle, you got anything else?
I do not.
We've got 3 appointments to consider. Nina Davidson, send her bio in. I think everybody's gotten that since then.
She pronounces it Nina, Jim.
Well, now that's what y'all told me last week it was Nina.
No, we told you it was Nina.
It's Nana.
Nothing could be found. All right. It is Nina because I knew Nina Beth Taggart. Yeah, that's right. Nina, I don't know Nina. Nina. Thank you. I'm glad I just called her Miss Davidson. So she's really excited about serving. She thought she had gone to the BZA before, to the MPC, but she'd actually gone to the BZA. I don't know if she's on today or not. No, she's not. She was going to join us. But would like to, she's agreed to serve on the MPC, and that we had Kristen Taylor has dropped off. She decided she wanted to be discontinued from that. She's not, she finished her term out. Is there a motion to approve Nina?
Make the motion to approve Nina.
I second the motion to approve Nina Davidson.
Nothing can define her than to be a girl. Is there a second?
I second for Nina.
Thank you. Y'all, I'm going to be so confused with this. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Roll call.
Kathy Altenburn, aye for Nina.
Louise Bryan, aye.
Jim Hunt, aye.
Rusty Moore, aye.
Bob Weigel, aye.
Thank you. Nina has been approved. Appointment of Charlie Thornburg to the BBCA. He's been out of town. Gray answered for him and said that he has, he wanted to think about it when he got back in town. He's been in the wilderness. He said, I don't know what, but he's been in the wilderness. So we'll wait for him to get back where so we'll defer.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yes,
Since
ma'am.
he's running for commissioner, does that matter?
What I had told him was that if he accepted and was approved as a commissioner, he would fill the commissioner slot of the BBCA.
Okay, that makes sense.
Not, he could fill it as the non-commissioner slot. And Rusty, aren't you doing that slot now?
Yes.
Would you be willing to step down if Charlie is elected? We'll put you some other place.
That sounds good to me.
How many meetings did you attend this past year?
I believe that was one, right, Lyle?
Yeah, but that was more than usual. One. Okay.
I'll move to defer.
Thank you for moving to defer. Is there a second on the deferral?
I second.
Motion made to defer. All in favor, say aye.
Kathy Altenburn, aye.
Louise Bryant, aye.
Tim Hunt, aye.
Rusty Moore, aye.
Bob Weigel, aye.
Thank you. We'll defer that until Charlie gets back in town. The reappointment of Clay Bright and Johnny Phipps to BBCA. They both have agreed to continue serving on the BBCA. You don't need to see their bio since they are being reelected. Anybody have any comments, or would there be a motion to approve?
Can we do them together, or do we have to do separate?
Let's do them together.
I do know that committee, I don't think it matters, but it's heavy on one particular neighborhood with Jeanette as well. Does that matter?
Well, Jeanette's going to step off, so that would. And I think that Charlie, if he accepts that, would change that. So
You're right.
Okay.
I move approval if we can do both for Johnny and Clay.
is there a second?
I second.
Thanks.
Louise, was that your second?
It was.
Right. Kathy made the motion. Louise seconded. All in favor, say aye. Roll call.
Kathy Altenburn, aye.
Louise Bryant, aye.
Jim Hunt, aye.
Rusty Moore, aye.
Bob Weigel, aye.
Thank you. Waste collection, no matters. Beautification, landscape. Laura Catherine.
Hello? Are you hearing background noise?
Yeah, you got a volume switch on that microphone.
I don't think so.
I think it's feeding back a little bit. Where you have it close to the speaker?
No, I'm not. It's just the same as always.
Better now. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay. So, we met this Monday, the 14th, and we had a great meeting. Our questions are trickling in. We got about 500 more. So we're still down 20% from last year. But again, we expected that, we knew that was coming with COVID, et cetera. And we hope to offset that next year with some targeted giving campaigns. The big thing that we talked about was the what we're calling the legacy plan for beautification and working that into the master plan for Bellmead. So we had Kevin Tilbury join us and Louise did a great presentation just on what the master plan is and how we can work with series. And then Kevin and he said Alicia is the landscape designer, and they are going to join our series meetings for the next few months while we're talking about this legacy plan. So we meet starting this month. What we're doing is we're meeting, our regular series meetings are every other month. And in the off months, we're going to have the legacy subcommittee, which is almost everybody on the committee. But so we'll specifically talk about our long-term plan and what we would like to see the city do and how that coincides with Kevin and Alicia's plan and how we work that into the city's plan, and just to make sure that it's just a very cohesive process that we're walking hand in hand and that kind of thing. So it's really exciting. And then also we are going to put, because voting season, and especially early voting, people come from all over to Belmead, not just Belmead residents. So we are going to put some planters out front of City Hall. So we talked about that a few years ago and kind of put the kibosh on it because we couldn't get irrigation, but it turns out that it's not that hard. And to get irrigation into the planters like we did out back. So we're really excited about that. I think that'll spruce up, maybe bring some cheer to people who are paying their sewer bills. So that is really the gist of what we're doing. We did hear from Tara Biller. Jim and Louise, y'all are on that email that she's working on getting additional funding, and once she has more advertisers, then she'll have more available space and we can get back into the groove of submitting an article, which of course we would love to do. This just a great medium. It's targeted right to our audience, and we'd love contributing. We are going to continue the Ask a Gardener column in the city newsletter, and we've recruited a few more gardeners to answer questions, so that's a good one. And let me check my minutes. I believe that is it. So our next meeting is going to be in November. That's going to be the legacy plan. That's what we're calling our long-term plan. In order not to be confused with the city's long-term plan. So we're going to have our legacy plan committee on November, and then in December, no, I'm sorry. I don't even know what month it is. We're having our legacy plan in October, and then in November is our next series. So does anybody have any questions?
Make sure you talk to Peter Grimaldi about Cheekwood providing articles for you, because they can just do, as you know, can really do good articles when you need them.
Yeah, they can. Well, we're just trying to get articles right now, or trying to get the space to be able to print them. That's the big thing now, is just waiting on Tara to say, she has room for us.
Okay, well, Louise and I spoke this morning, and I'm going to come up with a list of different topics, not beautification, but all types of them, and asking different commissioners to handle one of those or delegate those to someone, so we'll make sure that we have some content to provide them without us scrambling around at the last minute to try to do something. But again, okay. Peter can certainly get good things from Cheekwood, as you know. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's a great resource. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you. How was your board meeting the other day?
Great. We went great. Is that what you're talking about? The beautification board meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, it went great. On Monday, it was wonderful. We really had a great talk. Louise and Kevin did an awesome job. The committee had a lot of questions, and we just really, I think it was great. I think everybody left feeling much more educated about what the long-term plan is and how we're going to work. And there was really a sense of excitement, I think. Don't you think, Louise?
Are you still getting good?
Absolutely.
You're still getting good participation?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that does bring up something. We have, when we created the committee, we talked about rolling appointments. And so the shortest term was going to be 2 years. So we are talking to a few people about who wants to roll off. I've already got somebody who wants to come in. So if you know, and then some people have sent me some emails of people who are interested. So if you know anybody who's interested, send them to me. They may not be able to roll on in January, but maybe the next January or whatever. And we, of course, would love their input in the meantime. So we will start the roll-offs in January. Good. And I'll have more specifics on that once I've confirmed with everybody.
Louise, thank you for your support of beautification with the long-range planning too. That's great.
No, it's great. I think they are truly such an important stakeholder, and they've done so much work already. My goal was to encourage them that all that work will be part of the master plan. So we're excited.
Before we move on, Louise, you may want to comment. You have a master plan steering committee coming up, right?
Right. The first meeting of the steering committee will be held on the 23rd of this month. The steering committee are the residents and staff and commissioners who will be involved going forward. This does not take place of any residents' input into the plan at all. Rather, this is a way to more significantly involve all the residents. But this is a steering committee, and the meetings are open to anybody at any time who wants to attend. They will be posted on the website if anybody ever wants to attend.
Thank you very much for that preemptive question and your ability to respond. I hear my dog barking outside. He's chasing somebody. Okay, we've got an action item under beautification. Estimates for holiday wreaths. Looks like the Boy Scouts of America once again have come in at the low price and very consistently do a good job. Do you have any comments to make?
What was the value last year?
I think it's about the same price, wasn't it, Beth?
They went up like $2, I think. It's not a big price increase.
Okay. I didn't know Boy Scouts were still in business. I thought they went bankrupt.
Well, I think they went bankrupt with millions and millions and millions of dollars that are out in reserve for claims, but I don't think they're not operating.
They're still operating. Okay.
If they are, at least Troop 6 is still putting together Christmas wreaths. So there's $3,500 for 140 evergreen wreaths.
I'll move
the motion to use the Boy Scouts of America.
I second. That's Kathy.
All right, we just make a comment. This is paid for by the beautification committee, and no public funds are used in this project. So, and who installed?
Mayor, I make a comment too that I love this troop. I buy my Christmas tree from them every year.
Good for you. Larry, you raise your hand. Do you all?
Public Works installs them.
Okay. How long does it take you all to do that?
We usually we can do it about 3/4 of a day. We don't waste any time.
It's one of those things like the American flag. People begin to think it's just part of what Bellmead does, and that's
yes, sir.
Thanks. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Roll call.
Kathy Altenburn, aye.
Louise Bryant, aye.
Jim Hunt, aye.
Rusty Moore, aye.
Bob Weigel, aye.
Done. Okay. Thank you, Laura Catherine. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Continue to. That microphone didn't make a bit of noise when you moved back on it, I think. So it's clean. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we have city communication, no matters. Finance, Lee.
Yes. You all have your statements in front of you. I don't know if you have any questions, but I did want to just let you remind you one thing before we go to questions. This is the second month that we're not really showing any income for the state shared items because the income that I received in July was for May and the income I received this month was for June. So of course that went on those months' financials, but just wanted to throw that out there just as a reminder. Does anybody have any questions?
Will those items be in the final?
Yes.
Year, and that's going to be the audit's going to cover those, right?
The audit is going to cover that, and they are actually last week and this week they're doing, of course, remotely the field work for our audit. So they're a little early this year. We're happy about that.
But they'll have all the income items up to date on that audit.
Yes.
All right.
Lee, I had a question.
Sure.
Under operating revenue, other revenues, that number seems to go all over the place. Can you tell me, number one, what that is, and just tell me why the actual versus last year is such a large difference?
Sure. First, I've gotten the budget out here just as a reminder to me, and I'm just going to tell you what we budgeted for in there, and then I'll tell you what we've received so far.
Okay.
Had budgeted, and these are items that, of course we knew about ahead of time, the historic preservation grant, the TML safety grant, dollar amounts or?
No, I see what you're saying. Okay, that's helpful.
Then we had the PEP emergency relief refund.
Oh.
Local revenue grant. and the THSO grant. And thus far, we've received that PEP, I think they call it a dividend, the local revenue grant. And then anything that's not a normal type of deposit goes in there, which is very few things, but it's mainly those types of things.
Okay, helpful. Thank you so much.
Sure.
What an exorbitant number of grants that we're getting, not dollar amount, but just numbers of grants.
Beth, I know we got, what, 2 more this year than we did?
Right. I mean, we've got the Historic Preservation Grant, which is probably a one-time thing, or the first time we've ever gotten that. The grant from the state of Tennessee for relief, that never has happened before in my time. Then the public entity partners, our insurance insurance group, give all the cities a dividend. So that was an extra $14,000 that we don't usually get. So it's just a kind of an anomaly this year to have all these odd things, but we'll take it.
Go in the right direction.
Yes.
Thank you. Lee, what else?
I've got a question, Jim.
Bob?
Page 34, capital budget.
Sure.
Actual spent under the paving.
Right.
Was that for the engineering fees or what was
It
that?
is. We haven't actually paid for any paving yet.
Okay.
Any paving for that matter.
I thought it was. Okay.
That's what that is.
Thank you.
Sure.
Right.
Good catch. Good one, Bob. Hey, I've got one question. You and I clarified this earlier. On the laddering program, let me see if I can get that right page up. Oh, it's on the back. It's on page 36. So that everybody is in sync with this, you've got the current month and the year-to-date 2020, and you've got the numbers there. On the 2020 year-to-date, that is a calendar year where you've got down at the bottom that interest we've received is on a fiscal year basis.
Exactly.
So if you want to take the interest that we've earned year-to-date and annualize that, that works out to be about a 2.3% return. I know that's not accurate because the fact that some things that some of these CDs retire and some of them are paid early and whatever. So but anyway, it's still in the 2% area where now the daily fund is down to 0.27. So
Oh yeah.
it does still looks good with that. So, and Bob, you've got all these sewer fund financials. Do you have any questions?
I'm good.
Okay. Y'all can't see me screwing around with this paper over here. You probably can hear it. But. Okay. We got approval of invoices over $5,000. I have some questions here. Beth, on the Barge Cawthorn, the one invoice for $85.95 and the other for $92.94. Is the $92.94, is that an annual something that we are faced with annually where the other one is not?
Well, the 9294 is the portion of their engineering fees for the street paving project.
But that's just for the current project, so right?
Correct.
Okay.
And then the other one for 8595 is for that updated, the comprehensive citywide streets condition. And see, we only do that every 5 or 6 years.
So my question was, how long does that one last? That's 5 or 6 years, and the other one is basically an annual.
Yes, if we do paving every year, we're going to have that invoice, but the other is only, whenever we ask them to do an update to our book that lists all of our streets conditions.
All right, those are two invoices, 85.95 and 92.94.24. Larry, when is that paving supposed to start?
Sir, they're probably going to start adjusting the castings the end of this month, and first of September, the first of next month, we'll probably get the paving underway. Probably the second week of the month, they'll have hopefully by the second week, third week, we'll be final done.
Okay, thank you. JR and Associates, 14,326. JR Associates, 13,572. JR and Associates for 13,572. We have, is that Omnigo software?
Yes.
7145. Is that just a 6-month contract? Looks to me like they got a start date and an end date.
Yes, that's correct.
So that means we have to go through this every 6 months?
I think because they're on a calendar year basis, Jim, and we're on a fiscal year basis, that's why they bill us every 6 months, because they might increase or change their pricing on a calendar year basis. So they can't bill us for the calendar year because that wouldn't coincide with our fiscal year.
So it is about a $15,000 a year annual contract, right?
Yes.
And then we've got Wascon, 19,318. And we've got Wascon again for 59.44 and Wascon for 59.25.26. That's all I've got. It's a motion to approve.
I have a question about this creek debris removal. How exactly do we confirm the work that they've done?
Larry.
He oversees that.
Site. He's. Go ahead, Larry.
Miss Louise, what I do is I go out and check every area, make sure they've done it to the satisfaction. I think Steve Casey's still here. We have certain criteria that they have to follow in certain areas that they have to do. And we follow up and make sure, and I sign off on each one that it is completed.
Oh, you do? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good to know.
Facility, did we vote on, did we vote on approval?
No.
Okay. We got a motion for those invoices over 5,000.
I make the motion for all the invoices that are attached.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Kathy Altenburn, aye.
Louise Bryan, aye.
Jim Hunt, aye.
Rusty Moore, aye.
Bob Weagle, aye.
Thanks. Facilities, no matters. Personnel, no matters. We now get to legislation, and item 1 is a public hearing for consideration of ordinance 2020-4, amending section 14-210-6 and appendix F of the Belmead zoning code to modify certain provisions concerning reconstruction of non-conforming structures and changing legal use. This is on second reading. The MPC yesterday approved this. I hereby declare the public hearing open. Is there anyone present who wishes to be heard on ordinance 2020-4? If you are, unmute yourself and speak up. Anyone want to speak? If no one present wishes to speak, or we'll say, I hereby declare the public hearing closed. I'll now entertain a motion from the board for approval on second reading of 2020-4.
Can I ask a question? What was the discussion like last night with the MPC, and were there any concerns or questions that would be something we needed to hear if we weren't there?
Well, there were people there who really weren't part of the MPC, which I was happy to see. The There was the historic zoning. Some people were there. Some people were there from the BZA. So we had good attendance. I don't know that anyone from the public was really there, but
Okay.
I thought the discussion was good. Doug, you have any comments from that?
There were some questions, Mayor, but they were fairly, I guess technical. It didn't really go after the substance of the ordinance, sort of how it was going to work in practice. Lyle, I'm not remembering too well. Do you remember any questions that were concerning?
Biggest thing is there was zero opposition. Right. They were just concerned about, I think there was one question about the height, which I think it was 18 feet.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
That's what the gazebos are. So we had a couple people from the public there. We had a couple from Jackson Boulevard that came.
Neighbors that commented.
Yeah.
I was impressed with the nature of the questions from the people that know about that stuff, like the architects. I mean, the architects and builders were asking good questions, I thought.
They did. And Lyle, overall, this has really been a very positive thing. Don't you think?
Absolutely. It's a win-win for everybody. You can take a dilapidated garage, convert it into an office or a living area, put more revenue in your property, more revenue for the city. Everyone's happy.
The negative to it is that if you tore down your structure before, you're SOL, isn't that right?
Well, not necessarily. I think that'd be a case to go to the Board of Zoning Appeal and get permission to build it back.
If you didn't have one and you want to build one out of the building envelope.
That's a negative. That's a negative.
I know. That's why I asked that. I would love to have one. And
Lala, we appreciate your work on this. I think it's, I'm glad that we vetted it with so many different people and the other boards. So I would move for approval.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
A second.
We had a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Kathy Oldenburn, aye.
Louise Bryan, aye.
Aye.
Trustee Moore, aye.
Bob Weigel, aye.
Wow, that's great. All right, I hereby declare the public hearing closed. It is closed. So with that, let's see, we have early voting starts October 14th. That does not, our next meeting is the 21st. And if we talked about a meeting place, or we want to get the early voting over to St. George's.
Well, we can do it by Zoom. We'll be fine.
Okay.
Jim, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
I understand the news said last night that voting on the recalling the 34% tax increase.
Yeah.
Will that be? That won't be until December. Am I correct?
I think that's correct, but there was but the referendum will be another. Is it another total vote? Is that what?
Yeah, I guess so. It'd been nice to get it on this one.
Yeah, it can't. I don't think there was timing was different.
That's probably true. Yeah. Okay. That's the way I understood it, but I just want to check with you.
Doug, what were you going to say? Doug?
I know. I agree with what you said. It could be in December if it happens. I think they're still getting opinions about the legality of it.
Yeah. I know the mayor doesn't want it, so he got enough trouble as it is. Early voting again on the 14th. Is there any other questions? Our next meeting is the 21st. If there's no other questions, call this meeting adjourned. I'll sign us off, Lyle, whenever.